call meeting to order. The board does not write the zoning ordinance, but does have the authority to grant relief from it where practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship would result. The board will vote on each agenda item following a public hearing. Use variance requests require a minimum of 6 affirmative votes in order to grant the requested variances. Non-use variance requests require a minimum of 5 affirmative votes in order to grant the variances. If you would like to request that the board table or adjourn your case due to the absence of the full board, which we have a 9-member board, but I believe only 7 of us are present tonight, so we do not have a full board, you must inform the chairperson immediately after the public hearing. Petitioners shall do their best to limit presentations to 10 minutes, and each participant in a public hearing shall do their best to limit comments to 3 minutes. So, our first item up on the agenda is approval of the minutes for July 13th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
All right. Second? Mr. Moore? All right. Any discussion? No? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. All right, on to unfinished business. Our first item is case number 23-07-14, a public hearing on the appeal of Nathan Zahar, petitioner, and Sylvan Drive LLC owner. All right. Mr. Murphy.
I'll remind the board that the item was postponed from last month, and the petitioner is with us again tonight. A reminder, as the chair had stated, the vice chair had stated, that this is a 9-member board. There are only 7 members present again tonight. So you will need to determine whether you'd like the board to proceed with the variance in determining whether to grant the variances that are requested, or if you would like to further request to postpone the item till the next agenda. And with that, we'll let you come to the board, come to the microphone at the podium and address the board as you would like to.
Good evening, Honorable Board. There was already one postponement in this matter, and it probably doesn't help anyone to have this just linger on and on. However, I believe there is a significant hurdle in terms of the unnecessary hardship portion of this legal argument. So I would like to request yet another adjournment. I have brought from my client, who contracted with an architecture firm, updated floor plans. May I approach?
Sure, you can distribute them.
Also, I believe this was brought up last time, but one issue with the postponement, as you stated, is you cannot guarantee a full board at any time. I'm not sure if there's any sort of further discourse we could have on that in terms of an expectation of having a more full board than 7 people in the near future.
It's just something, it's up to people's schedules. We can't guarantee what's going to happen. I mean, as you can see, I'm here, I'm the vice chair, I'm chairing tonight, and
Right.
Our chairman had an absence.
Sure,
tonight,
there's
so.
no intent to frustrate the process. In fact, ideally, we would just have a full board and we would decide that this evening. Regardless, I will resume. I will recap from last time, and I have information to add as well. It's difficult for me to bring this up, but Royal Oak is a rather diverse place. However, in the public comments last time, I did not witness what I perceived to be a lot of diversity. And I think that a lot of the undertones of that are kind of this idea that if we let certain types of people live in certain areas, then it's to heck with the neighborhood kind of a thinking. I'm speaking.
I'm sorry, please, everyone, please hold your comments and let the petitioner say her piece.
Thank you. Before the house was red taped by the city, there were Chaldeans living in it and Arab Muslims. It's my impression that there's definite undertones of racism and Islamophobia.
These were racist.
Please hold your comments.
Additionally, a large issue last time was crime in the neighborhood. Now, it's understandable that residents of a city would be alarmed by crime occurring in their neighborhood in general, and that if you're allowing more people to move into an area, that crime may likely increase. However, I do not think this I believe this lacked merit as any legal argument, because the petitioner already had legal permission to rent out this property. Not as a duplex, but he was legally able to be a landlord renting it out to people. So if someone moves in as a tenant and is engaging in criminal activity, that's not exactly relevant to the discussion this evening. That's more of a landlord-tenant issue and a general safety issue where the police have to be involved, and the landlord may have to undertake an eviction process, all those things. Okay. I brought up this case last time I was here. It's called the City of Detroit versus the City of Detroit Board of Zoning Appeals. And that is concerned with the fact that a Board of Zoning Appeals is well within its rights to deny an application where the hardship has been self-imposed. In that case, it was found that the board had erred because there was a hardship that was not self-imposed, where there was a prior use that existed prior to the current owner's use of the property. In this case, it's difficult to establish a timeline. My client states that when he moved into the property, he originally moved in as a tenant under the original owner, and that time that he was in the property, it was being used as a duplex. He does not know if it was used as a duplex before that or not. However, he was under the impression that he would be able to use it as a duplex. Again, back to the public comments from last time. There's discussion of due diligence and bringing a lawsuit for misrepresentation against the owner. However, again, that's not relevant. We're here on a Board of Zoning Appeals matter. If he were suing for loss of profit in a different forum, those things would definitely matter. Here we're strictly talking about unnecessary hardship and the fact that it was not self-imposed. Secondly, there is another case called Pedersen versus Township of Harrison. In that case, the property owner appealed to the board to change from single-family use to multifamily use. Personal discussions related to the owner's finances are often out of place because this is particular to the property and not to the petitioner's financial situation. However, in that case, where the property value was substantially increased and there was little interest in purchase under the current zoning, the petitioner was found to be entitled to a use variance. In the current case, Mr. Zahar could sell as single-family use. However, There's limited interest, which is slightly speculative since it's not on the market. But there's limited interest given the market rate of the property in this area. So if it's the same property that is updated legally to be used as a duplex, then that would result in a significant increase of the actual property's value and be more appealing to future investors. This does not alter the essential character of this area. This area, even though this neighborhood in particular is single-family use, it's not an overwhelmingly large area. It's a rather standard-sized neighborhood in the middle of the city of Royal Oak, which, despite the fact Royal Oak has a lot going on, it's a relatively small city. So in terms of more than one family living in a house, I'd say that's more the norm.
No.
The alleged hardship has not...
I'm sorry, please hold your comments.
The alleged hardship has not been created by the petitioner. In fact, he was not aware that he was engaging in an unlawful use until a ticketing problem started to occur. This use does preserve substantial property rights possessed by other property owners in the same zone. Again, this is already being used as a rental before it was red taped. So people can come in and out more on that basis than if it's an area where rentals aren't allowed in general. There's not really a difference between two families. Yes, there could be more people, but there's still restrictions based on the number of bedrooms regardless. I'm not going to spend a significant amount of time on the non-use variances. Non-use is a slightly lesser standard in that if the chapters of the zoning chapters are strictly applied, practical difficulties will result. Certainly, if there's an unnecessary hardship, this will result in practical difficulties. The practical difficulties in this case are already quite clear because of the ticketing and the loss of value of the property throughout this whole process and the potential income that my client could have made through continuing to rent it. And that is all I have for you at this time.
Okay, thank you. Just 1 second. All right, and just to confirm, I know you presented here, but you are still requesting that this be postponed because we do not have a full board?
Yes, and I do not want to continue to substantially delay progress on this, but given the contentious nature of it and the lack of a full board, I would request at least one more postponement. That is the sole reason.
Okay. All right. Given the fact, I know we have a large number of people here to speak on this issue, but given the fact that the public hearing was held last month, as was noted earlier, and that we're being requested to adjourn this yet again, I would bring it to this side of the table and ask for a motion to adjourn. Or not to adjourn, to postpone this to the next month. Sorry. It's the lawyer in me coming out.
Can you comment on what she said?
Yeah.
I'd like to speak.
I understand you would like to speak. I understand that you would like to speak. The public hearing was held last month, and if there is further discussion on it, it will be back before this board, and it would be possibly open again for public comment at that point too. But
You know what amazes me? You guys shouldn't even have this discussion.
I'm sorry, sir. I've asked the board to make a motion here, and yes.
Motion to postpone this until the September meeting.
All right. Is there a second? Mr. Reddy? All right, any discussion from the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Motion passes. This matter is postponed until the next month.
Are you appointed or elected officials? You need to know that.
If you have any comments, we can address them afterwards. I'll be here. I'm not running, but we have a meeting to run. There's another item on the agenda. I appreciate that this is frustrating. I do, but this is a board, and we have a way to run things.
This whole idea is frustrating.
I understand.
I wish they'd do it as you. Go to the Senate and try it. Hey, Aki, how you doing, buddy?
Not today.
No, sir, we're going to move on to the next.
We're moving on to the next action item. Thank you.
There's 6 of you to deny it. What does 2 more mean?
Please make your way to the lobby so that we can proceed with the agenda.
We have another action item to move on to, so if you could please.
Please make your way
I
to
can
the
talk to you
lobby.
after the meeting if you would like. I'll be here.
Please make your way to the lobby so that we can continue with the agenda. Thank you.
All right. If everyone could please move out into the lobby so that we can move on to our next business item.
We might have to get the police.
Yeah.
If they don't.
All right.
You only need 6 to deny it. So
Next
that
item.
Next item. New business. Case number 23-08-16. Public hearing on the appeal of Martini Sammartino Design Group, petitioner, and Michael Campbell, owner. All right. Sorry, I'm just getting, no problem. Mr. Bohorsky.
Thank you. Yes, the subject property is located on the north side of Lexington Boulevard within the one-family large lot residential zoning district. The subject property is approximately 100 feet in width and has a lot area of over 25,000 square feet. And the property is currently improved with a single-family house and a detached garage and shed, all of which are being proposed to be demolished by the petitioner. In its place, the petitioner is proposing to construct a new single-family dwelling with 2 separate attached garages / accessory buildings. Now, the zoning ordinance does place a cap on how large a single-family dwelling can be in terms of floor area, which is 3,500 square feet. So looking at the first floor plans, one moment. The first floor contains approximately 2,092 square feet of usable floor area, and the second floor contains approximately 2,391 square feet of usable floor area. It was noted to staff by the petitioner that the proposed dwelling does not contain any finished attic space, which is accessible from the staircase, so there's nothing further to add to that usable square footage calculation. Combined, the usable floor area for the house is 4,483 square feet. So the petitioner is seeking a variance to waive 983 square feet from the maximum allowable usable floor area of 3,500 square feet. The zoning ordinance also states that the ground floor area of all accessory structures cannot exceed 10% of total lot area nor exceed 800 square feet. So whichever threshold you hit first is which one would apply. The proposed 2-car garage A was measured to be 554 square feet, and the proposed 2-car garage B was measured to be 731 square feet. So the combined accessory ground floor area was 1,285 square feet. So the petitioner is seeking a second variance to waive 485 square feet from the maximum allowable 800 square feet for an accessory building. Looking at the elevations, the zoning ordinance also states that the height of accessory buildings is not measured at the peak, but at the midpoint between the peak and the eaves of the roof. And looking at the proposed two-car garage B, at that midpoint, it measured to be 16.4 feet in height at that midpoint. Now, I would point out that the proposed two-car garage B is attached to the principal structure, but there's no second-story living space above it that you would see from the proposed two-car garage A. So therefore, it effectively functions as a detached garage, even though it is, in fact, attached. So it wouldn't be subject to the 30-foot maximum height allowed for the principal building, as you may see on the principal structure. So staff did apply the maximum 15-foot height restriction to the proposed two-car garage B. So the petitioner is seeking a third variance to waive 1.4 feet from the maximum allowable height of 15 feet. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for staff? Mr. Klatt.
Hey, Alex, item C is a little bit confusing. So for example, if they built living space over garage B, that is, would they not need a variance? If they built the second story over that and it was less than 30 feet, would that variance request go away?
So if they built living space above it, which was only accessible from the primary structure, that means it wasn't accessible from the lower level, then yes. Now, I would point out that based on the current design of the house, that would increase the size of the variance they would need for usable floor area.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Okay, then. The petitioner can come forward and present their case.
Hello. Can you hear me? This good?
Yep.
So I'm Michael Campbell. I'm here with my 3 kids. We moved to the city 20 years ago. I bought this property 10 years now. I've cared for it for a while. And I bought this because it was in the large lot district. This, along with Mount Vernon, have lot sizes that are typically 4 times the typical 50 by 120 lots in Royal Oak. So I bought this, eventually seeking to grow with my family. All 3 of my kids are in Royal schools, elementary, middle school, and high school. I hit them all. So, I'd like to remain in the city. I'd like to use the lot that's conclusive to the size of the district that it's in. I realize that there is a variance of only allowed 3,500 square feet, but looking at the footprint of the actual lot dimensions, is really not encumbering on the size of the properties that are there relative to the properties who are next to us. So we're asking to accept this variance so that we can our family can remain in the city.
Okay, any questions for petitioner? Ms. Zukin?
Mr. Campbell, are you aware of any other houses on Lexington that exceed 3,500 square feet?
I have not done a study, but I know there's a couple of new ones that were just built a few years ago. They look very large. As far as the width of the house, I don't know how deep they are because our lots are so deep. I'm not aware of any that I know. I do know that there's another accessory building built on Mount Vernon that's pretty large. It looks like a 3-car garage. It's got accessory on top of it, so that was just recently built within the last year. So I know that there are variances that must have been accepted down the ways, but I've not done a study.
Mr. Wright? Oh, I'm sorry.
You were first. Go ahead.
I was trying to go both sides of the table, so.
I have a couple of questions. So one is that, the third component of our decision is that it has to be unique circumstances of the property. And I know it's a large lot, but I mean, everyone in a large lot district is going to be a large lot. What would be unique outside of being large that would require for this property a variance?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the zoning was back then, but I don't have a unique proposition that is putting me at, an extreme hardship that says, this. But other than just trying to use the property to the extent that, that these properties were allocated back when it was developed and zoned.
Okay. And then the second one, letter B, is that lesser relief would not any lesser variance wouldn't get relief. Would not a 3-car garage provide relief as opposed to a 4-car? These variances seem a bit large, is all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, we carefully thought about, the front view. There's only 2-car garage visible from the street. You have to, it's tucked away behind the staircase, as you can see, that, it's almost disappears within the house, so it doesn't seem like it's that much garage.
Can I try
Yes.
a little too? I'm Paul Sammartino. I'm the architect working with Michael and his family. If we look at the ordinance that says 10% or 800 square feet, 10% of 2,500 feet that we theoretically could build, or 800, whichever comes first. Obviously, the 800 is coming first, but you have that loophole in there of the 10%. So, and we're half of that. Just pointing that out.
Yeah, but that wasn't built into the large lot, so.
Just curious, what is the benefit of the large lot in the ordinance compared to the regular?
I don't know.
Okay. Because I didn't see any, to be in a large lot, they have a whole zoning ordinance for it, but nothing changes from the regular lot to the large lot. I just was curious to know why there actually is a large lot district if it doesn't mean anything.
I don't know.
So, okay. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out, on the 25,000 square foot lot, we're using 16% of the lot, which we're allowed 30%. Just for the record, we're using a lot less than what is actually required, the max. So, that's it. And I can answer any other questions if anybody has.
Oh, my question was simple. Did you guys reach out to your neighbors by any chance? Any discussions with the surrounding neighbors?
I did. I reached out to my neighbors here. My immediate neighbor, her father's right next to us here, so she couldn't make it. She had a soccer appointment tonight, so.
I got a question. Is,
I'm sorry. Could you please just hold your question until public comment, and we'll address it then.
So yeah, I reached out to the immediate neighbors surrounding me, and obviously there's not a lot of interest in what we're doing there, but I hope it shows.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions from the board? No? Okay. So I'm going to open it up momentarily for public comment. After the public hearing is concluded, you'll then have to make the same decision that the prior petitioner made, which is we don't have a full board. Do you want to move forward with a vote tonight, or would you request that we postpone until next month?
I'll be able to hear the comments first, of course, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. So I'll ask you that question after the public hearing is concluded. So go ahead and have a seat, and we will move forward with the public hearing. And if any members of the public have any comments, questions, concerns they want to address, they can approach. Could you please approach the podium then and identify yourself?
I'm the father of my neighbor, lives next door to him at 312. And my only concern is, since the house is going to be so big, and we're having a drainage problem right now, because at the north end of Royal Oak, all the houses on Lexington have a problem in the springtime with runoff water. And there's no drain back there. There's a small drain that comes in from Maine, 3 houses in, but it's capped off with a 3-inch outlet. And people on the corner, they have a drain system. Also, he does too. And the person next to him, and we're putting one in this week. So my concern is the runoff problem in the spring. Because we're putting the French drain in next week. I didn't see on the plans how they're going to accommodate that. They already have a drain in the back now. I don't know if it's functional, but actually the whole street needs a drain back there in the back of these big lots, and they're big. Or I don't know. 100 by 260, 270 deep. So that's my only concern is the drainage,
All right.
you know.
All right.
That's all I can say.
Thank you for your comment.
Huh?
So are you for it, or?
Well, I'm apprehensive about the whole thing. It's a big house.
Can I make a comment?
We'll see if there's anybody else, and then you can come back and there's a chance for rebuttal.
Well, that's my only concern, and does the plans that he has drawn, does that accommodate? Because these lots are big, and right now, lots run off into other lots, because we get waters from the street back of us, and so does he. And then waters pass between the lots. I mean, does everybody gotta have a French drain on this road or not, or what? We're putting one in this. In the springtime, it just turns to a big lake in our lot right now.
Okay.
All the other lots run into it.
All right. Next. Thank you, sir. Any other public comments at this time? No? Okay, if you want to address that comment, you can, and then we can answer the question about the
The
postpone.
city's going to approve any of the drainage that our site engineer designs, number one, and I'm sure you guys can all agree with that. And beside the fact of the matter that the house is over the footage that they require, the footprint of the house, I could take the second floor off and the footprint doesn't change and I won't need a
Oh, I
variance.
know that.
So, I mean, the fact that we're building a home, like every other home on the...
Problem with the square footage, but
Yeah, I mean, the footage, it's a bulk thing.
Sir, I understand. If you could address.
Yeah,
comments
I'm
to the
sorry. I
board,
was trying
that
to
would-
trying
that
to
would-
let him know I'm
No,
speaking
I
about.
understand.
So, yeah, I mean...
It's hard to not have a conversation on
It's
it.
going to be, the city's going to approve the drainage, our site engineer is going to design it accordingly, and the footprint of the home doesn't really affect that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. All right. Since there's no further public comment, petitioner, how would you like to proceed? You want us to vote tonight, or do you want to adjourn or postpone? Sorry, it's the court talk in me coming out. Postpone till next month. We can't guarantee, as we mentioned before, we can't guarantee.
Let's just do a vote and see what the board thinks here.
Okay, then we'll bring it back to this side of the table, and I'm open to the board for any comments or motions. Mr. Klatt?
I'll make a motion to approve all three variances.
All right, is there a second? No?
I'll second.
All right, Nancy, thank you. All right, Mr. Klatt?
So as an architect myself, we design numerous single-family homes each year. You know, a four-bedroom house with modern amenities, a master suite, a three-car garage. It's quite common today when the property can support it for larger families in the city. It seems kind of shocking to some that you can't fit that in 3,500 square feet, but at times it can be quite challenging. So it's, in my opinion, if you want to keep families in Royal Oak that have a need for a larger house, with the means and the property to support it, we must grant relief when the property can support that, and it has no impact on the surrounding other properties. So in my opinion, this is a very large lot, and this lot can support it. As the applicant mentioned, from a lot coverage standpoint, the civil drawings show 13.35%, but you mentioned 16, so that's about half of the allowable 30, and the garage is 5 versus 10%. So this lot can support a home of that size, in my opinion. So that's why I'm in favor of this.
I agree with everything you say. I'm notoriously one to say no to tearing down an old house. I like the history that we have in Royal Oak, but this lot is so big, and it does satisfy a need for big families or people that need that much space in Royal Oak. And my years in real estate, I know that there's not very many like this, so I'll support it.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Mr. Reddy?
I'm reluctantly going to be opposed. It's just unfortunate. The petitioner said there isn't a unique, he said hardship, but practical difficulty. like we say at the beginning, we don't write the zoning, and I don't see a unique situation as far as large lots go that this would apply, and I do think lesser relief, a lesser variance would grant relief here. It seems like a lot to ask, so for those reasons, I would be opposed.
Okay. Yep. Ms. Zukin?
I agree with what Mr. Reddy said, and I'll also just say that it is unfortunate that our ordinance does have the large lot overlay, but there's no relief from the 3,500 square feet. If they chose, if they wanted to have larger homes in a larger lot sizes, they would have changed the ordinance, and they haven't, and I don't think that's up to us to do. And I don't see anything extraordinary. There's a lot of small houses on these big lots, and there are bigger houses. I did drive down and look, but I don't think they're 4,500 square feet. And I love the house. I'd love to see it built, but I just don't think I can grant relief.
Yeah, I'm still kind of having a problem with the garage specifically. I didn't hear a real practical difficulty in why it has to be a 4-car garage versus a 3. I think it could have been designed as a 3. We've approved 3 before. I don't recall too many 4-car garages coming before us. So I'm hesitant on the garage.
All right. Do you have anything, or would you?
Yeah, I would only, I would add here that this gentleman just mentioned an issue about drainage on this street, but there is something else here, and that is the letter that was dated not quite a week ago from a nearby neighbor, that none of the material in this letter, none of this has come up in our discussion in the last 15 minutes, which is to say, the third paragraph, the fourth paragraph in this letter, there's a comment that says, according to their proposal, the client claims this will be his residence. For the past several years, this client has rented out this property. Royal Oak needs to start addressing these rentals and enforcing codes accordingly. My question is that true?
Good. Comment? Yeah, so I said in the beginning of my presentation that I've had the property for 10 years. We bought this after my second born, and waiting for that time when I could afford to build the house that would support our family. So I have rented it, but the property's been in good care. It's never been neglect. It's never been depressed. It's always been a good property, and now is the time that we can afford to use the lot as we intended to do when we purchased it.
Thank you.
All right. I guess I'll make a comment too, which is I think I'm going to be in favor of this. I was a little unsure coming into this meeting, but it's with these large lots, I feel like there should be a chance for relief, and this is outside. It's well under the 30%, and it fits the lot. For what it is, and I understand you've been renting it out, but our zoning ordinances are blind to whether or not it's rental property or it's an owner-occupied property. That doesn't really factor in. So that I understand concerns people might have in the neighborhood, but that doesn't affect how I view this decision. So. With that, unless there are further comments,
just one quick question. I made a motion to approve all 3, but it sounds like maybe there's some issue with some of maybe item B, or I can't, what's item, maybe the garage size versus does it make sense to split these up? Or?
We could, or I suppose the other thing we can do is just vote on it, and then if it fails, we can talk about possibly splitting it out. I don't know if legal counsel has any advice on that preference.
I'm just bringing it up.
Okay.
I would leave it up to, the board's determination how they want to proceed with that.
Okay. Are there any further comments on Mr. Klatt's suggestion, or I guess we'll move forward with the vote then as it is, and then we can decide after that. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
All right. All those opposed signify by saying nay and raise your hand. Nay. All right. That motion fails. So now we're back to, do we want to split up? Do we want to take these a piece at a time, or is it more just I guess a kind of a general wanting to look at it? So I'm open for motions and discussion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve A and C.
All right. Second.
I have to look at A and C again.
Oh, sorry, that's the waive 983 square feet of the maximum permitted usable floor area of 3,500 square feet, and the 1.4 feet of the maximum allowable height of 15 feet for an accessory structure.
Wait a minute.
A and C.
Items A and C.
Yes, under the variances.
First page.
A and C.
I know, but I'm looking at something else.
Yes. I'll second.
All right. Sorry. I was looking at this.
So I'm to understand the difference here is that you're saying like maybe make this garage like a one-car garage that would cut down the number of square feet? That would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with the 1.4 feet of height. Either that could be a one car, or the one that's, I'll say, I'm not an architect, but embedded into the house, if that's
This
a
one
term.
here, that
Yeah,
one.
that one.
Yeah.
Either that could be a one.
Well,
you
that,
know,
would,
I
that
mean,
would look stupid. Well, I guess it would be okay then.
All right. Was that all you're
yeah,
going to add, or do you have anything
no,
further?
that was just explaining.
Mr. Klatt.
I have no further comment.
Any other comments, questions, discussion items on this? Ms. Zukin.
I'll just comment that I don't think the 1.4 feet is an issue, but I can't go with A.
Well, we've got a motion and a second, so we'll take the vote and see how it shakes out, I guess. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye to approve items A and C of the variances.
Aye.
Aye. All right. That's only 4. So that one fails.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if you were going to call for the nays.
Oh, yeah. I should have. You're right. I apologize. All those opposed, raise your hand and signify by saying nay.
Nay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, with any other motions?
So hold on, did A and C pass?
No, that failed. We only got 4. We needed 5.
Oh, gotcha. I guess I did.
So that's it?
Oh, the variance is still pending. We either need to approve something or deny, or I suppose we could table this, but I don't want to do that necessarily without Mr. Murphy.
5 affirmative votes are required to grant the variances. So the board doesn't need to postpone anything tonight. There were motions on the table that weren't adopted. So the board has taken an action by adopting motions. They simply weren't in favor of the variance. It didn't gain the necessary votes in order to pass the requested variances. So the board has taken an action. There's no reason for the board to postpone.
Okay, so this fails. So these
Petitioner
variances-
failed to obtain the necessary variances, number of approved votes to approve the variance.
Okay, so we are at that point then concluded with this action item.
Correct.
Okay, thank
As
you.
awkward as that is.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I am sorry, but your variances have not been successfully approved, so you'll have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how you're going to address that.
Is there a way to vote any of the variances like separate?
Well, we at this point, we tried that, so,
I heard them A and C together, just vote on them collectively, individually. Give us something to work with.
If there's a board member that wants to bring up that as a conversation, but it seems as though that was part of your collective conversation and thought process as you move forward with 2 votes. So I won't say that you didn't speak about it, but if you want to speak about it again with clarity, that would be fine.
all right. Does any board member have anything they would like to? Mr. Moore?
I don't, okay, we'll try something here, just to see, give you clarity. My motion is to approve A, which is waiving the 983 square feet of the maximum permitted usable floor area of 3,500 square feet.
All right. Is there a second? Mr. Klatt? Any discussion? No? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's, all opposed, signify, raise your hands signify by saying nay.
Nay.
All right, 4 to 3, so that did not obtain the sufficient number of votes. I mean, I feel like at this point we've taken sufficient action. B was removed. I don't know. I mean, we could vote on C, I guess, but it seems like it won't, it already failed, and it won't necessarily impact your, the other items are much more relevant to your design, so I think we are done.
Mr. Moore has.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I mean, my comment on this, I feel like if A isn't going to pass, I don't think there's anything else that we can do, and that's what I was trying to do with my motion, just for A.
So, all right. Paul?
Thank you.
Good luck. All right. Any other business? Nope. All right. Any comments from the general public comment relating to, yeah, please approach the podium and feel free to say your piece.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you. Bill Harrison, 82-year resident of Royal Oak, and I am really disappointed. You know, it used to be that there were alternates on this board, so that if somebody didn't show up, the alternate could step in. And this is absolutely ludicrous to have somebody come back for a 3rd time on an appeal. Now, as far as the appeal is concerned, I have no sympathy for the owner of the home on Sylvan that wants a duplex. It's out of character with the neighborhood. It's single-family zoning, and it's been shown by the comments that this is an irresponsible, absentee landlord, and it's one's worst nightmare to have a rental property, regardless of whether it's a duplex or single-family home or whatever, to have a renter come in and spoil the neighborhood. So I think you ought to petition the city commission to go back to the system where you have alternates. It's only fair. And the other concern is, I don't remember, I was here the last time, I don't remember who was here and who wasn't, but whoever was not here, it's very possible that they may not have looked at the video. The video isn't up yet. To hear the comments of, packed house, people against it. And I'm just irritated at the attorney, too, and I probably shouldn't say, but, she made a snide remark the last time about, she heard a lot of things that were not point in law. These people are residents. They're not lawyers. And the very fact that she brought up racism was just abhorrent. I just recently retired from a company that at times we had as many as people from 28 different countries. And right now, most of the foreign extractions are Middle Easterns. It always depends on who's getting persecuted in their country as to where they're coming from. So, again, just take some of the things to the commission, get some alternates on here, and clean this thing up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, you're welcome up to the podium.
I can't walk that way.
You're fine. Take your time.
Gee, thanks.
I hope all of you people go look at Memorial Park. I'm the daughter of a World War II veteran. So. Laura Harrison, former zoning board member for several years back in the dark ages of the 90s and the early 2000s. I watched the last meeting and felt the representative of the owner of the house on Sylvan was not prepared. I was very disappointed with what she said. She asked more questions than the reasons for the variances. Also, her site plan had no rooms. You know, it was just a hand-drawn, there was no measurements, nothing. You didn't know how big or how small the house is. And she mentioned nothing about safety requirements. What are they? We don't know. She noted the door between the basement, the stairs going up to the basement, is a locked door. How can you get out? If anything were to happen to people down in the basement, if they can't get out, you have to have a minimum of 2 exits from a basement. I don't know, have you ever been in a single-story house basement? I was. There was a fire in the kitchen upstairs. 12 steps. Luckily, there was a door. The kitchen door was here, and the door to the outside was here. I'll never forget it. There were 10 friends downstairs enjoying an evening together, and 3 children sleeping upstairs. We were able to get outside by the side door. But the father of the 3 kids had to run through the burning kitchen, and it had already gone into the dining room. The house was very similar in size to what the house is that they're. To me, safety is first. And there's just unbelievable.
Ma'am, your time's up.
I
so
know.
if you could, okay,
The
just
house
wanted to
is
let you know.
not built to be a duplex. When I think duplex, I think duplex. I lived in a duplex at one time with my mom. This is not a duplex. That is danger on the ground. I suggest you deny the variance and discussion until proper drawing documents are presented to you. I'm sorry. I feel for the neighbors. I really do. And one of my very closest friends lives on the street. She's in the hospital right now because she had a stroke. but I know she would be devastated to have something like that. She loves her house.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question on the Sylvan thing. She brought new information. Is that information going to be shared with the public?
My understanding is it'll get posted along with all the other.
It'll be put in the agenda so everybody can find it?
Yes.
Okay. My second issue was, how long is this going to go on with these postponements? It's not really fair to us. That house has been, a nightmare for years now. And some of the things she got up here and said, first of all, that racist comment, none of you can put a stop to that? Somebody should have spoke up and put a stop to that. But the other things that she's saying, how can it be a hardship on him when he didn't do due diligence when he bought the house? That house has been a rental. I walk by that house every single day. I've never seen the same people there for more than a month or two. It's like they're renting rooms. They're not renting to families. There are no families there. So half of that stuff that she's saying is not true. And you shouldn't be able to ask for forgiveness because they didn't know when they bought it. That's my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, with that, we're left with item number G, adjournment. Do we have a motion? All right, Ms. Zuka?
Move to adjourn.
All right. Second? Mr. Reddy? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you.